The philosopher Voltaire famously observed that the Holy Roman Empire was neither holy, nor Roman, nor an empire. If we look closely at artifacts like the imperial crown, bursting with gold, jewels, and crosses, we see the projection of a supreme, divine European superpower, but the reality beneath the crown, inside out. The first major flaw in this system was how it chose its leader. A traditional empire is ruled by an absolute hereditary monarch. The Holy Roman Emperor, however, was actually an elected official. This historical manuscript shows exactly how the process worked. Starting in the 13th century, the Pope stopped choosing the emperor directly. Power shifted to a formal voting body of secular and spiritual local rulers, known as prince-electors, pictured here sitting together to cast their votes. Eventually, the powerful Habsburg family managed to secure a near monopoly on the throne, but because the foundational law required an election, the real leverage remained locked with the men holding those shields. The Habsburgs continuously had to negotiate just to wear the crown. This electoral requirement meant the supreme sovereign was often reduced to a middle manager, forced to endlessly appease powerful local nobles rather than rule them. That lack of central authority bled directly into a massive geographic problem. Despite the word empire in its name, it lacked a single fixed capital city. This map illustrates the sheer scale of the fragmentation. Instead of one cohesive territory, the empire was an amalgamation of dozens, and eventually hundreds, of individual fiefdoms and states. The local rulers of these distinct colored zones maintained their own authority, which frequently superseded the orders of the emperor himself. The fatal legal blow to any lingering unity arrived at the end of the 30 Years' War. The resulting Peace of Westphalia officially recognized the political and religious independence of these individual member states. With that signature, the Holy Roman Empire became a sprawling, disjointed confederation, entirely incapable of taking unified action. On top of this political maze, the Protestant Reformation shattered whatever cultural unity remained. The territory rapidly fractured into a volatile mixture of Catholic states and German Lutheran states. In 1555, the Peace of Augsburg managed to freeze the growing hostilities. It granted all member states the legal freedom to choose between the two religions. But Emperor Ferdinand II later took the throne and aggressively pushed a counter-reformation, attempting to force Catholicism back onto his subjects. This single action shattered the agreement and sparked the devastating 30 Years' War. For 3 decades, the Holy Roman Emperor was actively locked in bloody, total warfare against his own citizens. Combining an elected crown, hundreds of fiercely independent states, and decades of internal religious bloodshed, the political structure of the empire had perfectly engineered the mechanics of its own eventual collapse. By the early 19th century, this deeply compromised system faced an external threat it could not absorb: Napoleon Bonaparte. During the French Revolutionary Wars, French forces actively carved away chunks of Holy Roman territory along the western border. The empire needed overwhelming military support to survive, but its most crucial ally, Prussia, completely withdrew. Facing more pressing priorities in its own eastern Polish territories, Prussia detached its support, leaving the rest of the empire largely defenseless. Then came the diplomatic crisis of 1804. Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of the French. This was a direct, undeniable threat to the Holy Roman Emperor's perceived position as the supreme authority in Europe. Realizing where the wind was blowing, several German member states committed a final internal betrayal. They defected from the empire entirely to form the pro-French Confederation of the Rhine. Staring down Napoleon, the Holy Roman Empire was no longer a functioning state. The imperial title offered no military leverage. It was merely a dangerous target painted squarely on the back of its ruler. Facing absolute military defeat and the defection of his own states, Emperor Francis II made a highly pragmatic calculation. He realized the Holy Roman title was a useless liability. His actual, enforceable authority, his army, his land, and his wealth, lay entirely in his secondary role as the Emperor of Austria. So on August 6, 1806, Francis II formally abdicated the throne. With a final administrative order, he legally dissolved the 1,000-year-old entity. The Holy Roman Empire was not destroyed by a conquering army. It was simply discarded by its own ruler, because centuries of systemic dysfunction and endless compromise had reduced a glorious historical legacy into a totally worthless asset.